What's up everyone and welcome back. Nate Diaz is retired, according to Dustin Poirier. After failing to secure the lightweight title in his last fight this past December, Dustin Poirier was seemingly in talks to fight Nate Diaz in a big-time bout for the UFC. After all, it didn't take long for Diaz to start trash-talking Poirier after the Diamond tapped to a rear naked choke from champion Charles Oliveira at UFC 269. Poirier and Diaz had been matched up against each other before, but due to several factors, the fight never materialized. They've been slinging mud at each other through social media over the last 2 months, with Diaz even saying that this fight could be his last. Many people, including Poirier himself, didn't believe that Diaz, who had one fight left on his current UFC contract, would actually hang up the gloves for good. But apparently, that's what's happening, as he posted this on Twitter when a fan asked him about the potential for this fight. "Not sure. I wanted to fight Nate this summer, but just found out he's hanging him up. We'll see what's exciting in the future." Bear in mind that this is by no means official. Neither the UFC nor Diaz himself have made any announcement regarding Diaz's status. In fact, earlier this week, Nate Diaz made claims that he would fight Conor McGregor in a trilogy fight. As for Poirier, if rumors of Diaz's retirement are true, it could open him up to fight his former teammate Colby Covington, who has been talking about Poirier's family in recent weeks and called out the Diamond on several occasions. But what do you make about Poirier's claims about Diaz retiring? Court date set for Jorge Masvidal as he pleads not guilty to battery charge. The ramifications of Jorge Masvidal and Colby Covington's physical altercation outside of a Miami restaurant earlier this week are still being felt, as Masvidal subsequently surrendered to police and was charged over the incident just days later. He was seen in handcuffs being transported to a local jail soon after. According to the police report, the unnamed victim, believed to be Colby Covington, suffered a fractured tooth and abrasion on his left wrist as a result of the quote assault. Police say Masvidal was allegedly heard saying, "You shouldn't have been talking about my kids," during the alleged altercation. In the promotion for the UFC 272 main event fight earlier this month, Colby threw the kitchen sink of insults at Masvidal, mentioning his family and his kids. Now, reports say that Masvidal has posted $15,000 bail, while he's also entered a plea of not guilty to the charges, of which he faces 2 felonies: second-degree aggravated battery with bodily harm and criminal mischief. The first charge carries a max sentence of 15 years in jail and/or a fine of up to $10,000 if found guilty. An April 21st court date has been set for Masvidal to appear. What do you make of this whole situation? Michael Bisping issues a warning to Conor McGregor about a potential Kamaru Usman fight. Conor McGregor has been talking again about how he wants to get back to the octagon and fight in a massive bout, possibly for the 170-pound welterweight title, and he's even called out Kamaru Usman for the chance to do so. Usman, the 170-pound king, has looked scary good during his title reign, and as he prepares for a fight against Leon Edwards sometime down the line later this year, he's also been open to fighting the best boxer in the world, in Canelo Alvarez. That's how dominant and confident Kamaru is, willing to mix it up with the best of the best. And why not? He's the pound-for-pound MMA king at the moment. McGregor is a massive star, who is still the biggest draw in the sport, but he's lost 3 of his last 4 fights dating back to 2018, and he's coming off a 1-year layoff due to injury. Former middleweight champion Michael Bisping understands the dynamics at play here, and for him, the advantages are easily on Kamaru Usman's side. This is what he said in a recent video on his YouTube channel about Kamaru's strengths versus Conor.
He's incredibly strong. The wrestling is off the chain. The man can wrestle like crazy. You know, he would be able to take Conor down with no problem whatsoever. It wouldn't be a competition. You just pick him up, boom, slam him down on the canvas with absolute authority. Cardio-wise, Kamaru has an advantage there.
The count goes on to say that while this fight might have all the pay-per-view buys, could generate a lot of revenue for the UFC, and may have a ton of hype behind it, Kamaru has too much of an advantage in all other areas that he would really put his money on the Nigerian Nightmare to win this fight all day. Still, he does respect Conor's left hand, and if he does land, it could be night-night for Kamaru. But Bisping believes that, at this moment, Kamaru Usman would work Conor, and it's likely he would easily win this potential fight. Do you agree with Bisping on his thoughts about how a hypothetical welterweight title fight between Kamaru Usman and Conor McGregor would go? Don't forget to take a second to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on the latest fight news. Khamzat Chimaev looking to train alongside Bones Jones for his next bout. For years, Khamzat Chimaev has trained with former light heavyweight title challenger Alexander Gustafsson. The big Swede was a spectacular light heavyweight contender, putting up a classic battle against Bones in their first encounter. That fight, along with all of Bones' other accomplishments, has earned a ton of respect from Khamzat. Now, as the 27-year-old is in the midst of creating a legacy of his own, he talks about how much love and respect he has for Jones, and even hints that he would head down to the Fight Ready gym in Arizona to train with Jones and others. This is what he said in a recent video on his YouTube channel.
Maybe I'm gonna go right to Jon Jones. I said to him I want to train with him. The guys who he's beat, it was monsters in this division. He didn't get some easy fighter, but he's make them easy, easy fight.
Chimaev mentions that he would love to go train with Bones after the Gilbert Burns fight on April 9th. He specifically mentioned doing so after the Islamic holy month of Ramadan. Fight Ready is Henry Cejudo's gym, and Triple C is no stranger training some of the top guys in the UFC. Jones, meanwhile, is still twisting in the wind as the UFC figures out what they're going to do with the heavyweight division, given that champion Francis Ngannou is out for several months due to a knee surgery. Jones vacated his light heavyweight title back in 2020 to move up to heavyweight, but he has yet to step in the octagon since then. What do you think about Chimaev's praise of Jones, and what do you think about them potentially training together?
And there's a guy now, Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat Chimaev has had 4 fights in the UFC. He's been hit twice.
What?
Dude, he's undefeated. He has more victories in the UFC than he's been hit. And I'm not exaggerating.
Shit.
He's so fucking good, it's terrifying. He's so good, it's terrifying. He is the future. If he can maintain this standard of performance as he faces stiffer and stiffer competition, and we'll find out very soon because he's fighting Gilbert Burns, who's a world champion jiu-jitsu guy, top of the food chain MMA fighter, a guy who's been in there against Kamaru Usman, a guy who's beaten guys like Damian Maia, a guy who's beaten Tyron Woodley. He's beaten like elite fighters. He's a big step up in competition for Khamzat. But if Chimaev can beat him, if he can beat Gilbert, he's the real deal. And we're gonna find out because the competition that he's faced so far has not been anywhere near the level of Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns is absolutely elite. He's a fantastic striker. He is as good on the ground as anybody. He's so good. His jiu-jitsu is so top level. His wrestling is excellent. His cardio is excellent. He's a fierce competitor. And he's a world-class fighter. He's like proven world-class competitor. So that's a big fight. And that's coming up next. I think that's in Florida. There's guys that are so good. They're so good that you really don't know who's going to be able to beat them. And with Kamaru, the guy in his division is Khamzat Chimaev.
Meatball Molly wants to be a backup for the June 11 fight between Taila Santos and Valentina Shevchenko. In a recent Substack article, Ariel Helwani confirmed that Molly McCann is willing to be the backup for Taila Santos in the upcoming UFC 275 flyweight title fight against Valentina Shevchenko. The news that McCann is willing to be the backup shouldn't really surprise anyone, as she looks to capitalize on the momentum behind her following her spectacular knockout of Luana Carolina at UFC London last weekend. The spinning back elbow knockout is currently the frontrunner for Knockout of the Year and has a real shot at being proclaimed so by year's end. The flyweight title fight between Shevchenko and Santos will take place at UFC 275, and it would be Shevchenko's newest challenger. The UFC is running out of fighters to challenge Shevchenko, as she's defended her title successfully 6 whole times, and the promotion has had to go to the number 4 ranked Santos, since the Bullet has beaten all the other contenders in the women's flyweight division ranked above the Brazilian. At the time of this video, Molly McCann is unranked. She also lost to Taila Santos via unanimous decision back in July of 2020. Since that fight, Meatball Molly has gone 2-2, winning her last 2 recent outings. What do you think about Molly McCann being a backup fighter for Taila Santos for the flyweight title fight? Today's video was packed with some juicy stories from the fight world. What are your thoughts about what's going on in MMA? Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel to see more videos just like this. See you next time.